Early on the morning of Sunday, May 6th, about 3:50 in the morning, LPD responded to 1933 71st Street, reference burglary or home invasion. Upon arrival, officers found one victim inside the residence. That victim had been shot and had a gunshot wound to the torso. Responding officers, as they looked into it, discovered that Antonio Enriquez had been socializing with the victims earlier that day and throughout the day. He had been at the victim's residence on 71st Street. As they were together and socializing, Julian Castaneda and Jesus Alvarado called Enriquez, asked if they could also come to the residence. That time they were invited over to the residence. As the day went on, one of the victims told Castaneda and Alvarado that they needed to leave the house. They did so at that time. Apparently this upset Enriquez and led to an altercation between the victim, or one of the victims, and Enriquez. At that time, Enriquez left. A short time later, he joined back up with Castaneda and Alvarado, and all three returned to the residence. All three were armed with guns. Once they arrived, they entered the residence and began firing rounds at the victims. Jorge Herrera was struck by one round. He was the victim who suffered the gunshot to the torso. He was later transported to UMC, where he is currently recovering and is expected to recover. The other victim, Sosa, was not struck by any bullets. The three suspects, after shooting at the victims, left the residence. Parties on scene were able to provide Enriquez's name, vehicle description, and his personal description to officers who responded, and they also were able to provide his address. Sometime later, about 4:45 in the morning, officers in the area of Enriquez's home observed a vehicle matching the description of the suspect vehicle in the area of First and Flint. They attempted to stop the vehicle at First and University, but the driver, who was later identified as Castaneda, refused to pull the vehicle over, fled from officers, and a vehicle pursuit began. The pursuit began throughout the city, lasted approximately 30 minutes, and continued throughout the city. During the pursuit, DPS did assist the LPD. The vehicle was eventually stopped at South Loop and Quaker. Once the vehicle was stopped, Enriquez and Alvarado exited the vehicle and fled from officers on foot. They were quickly taken into custody. The other three occupants in the vehicle were taken into custody without incident. Enriquez, Castaneda, and Alvarado were determined to be the suspects involved in the shooting, following more investigation and work by officers on scene. After the vehicle was stopped, the pursuit was ended. A handgun was located inside the vehicle. Another subject, Abraham Molina, and a fifth male were also in the vehicle during the pursuit. There were passengers in the vehicle. At this time, those two men are not believed to be involved in the shooting. Molina did have a felony warrant for which he was arrested for at the time. So he was arrested for the felony warrant. The other three were arrested related to the shooting.